we have seen that this polarized, atomistic thinking about ourselves as individuals, that our self-definition matters a lot more, our feelings matter a lot more than learning objective skills or looking at the data or trying to figure out true answers, that has deep ramifications for every area of our society. And it's just sort of glossed over. Because here's the thing. Most people don't look at the deep substratum of thought here, the deep substrata of thought, when it comes to all the stuff that we are hearing about, the vocabulary, as I call it. The vocabulary is just a bunch of words that we are taught to mimic so we can be part of the upper class, right? I mean, that's really what it is. That's what college is all about these days. It's why you see people put their pronouns in their Twitter profiles. Like, I know you're a dude. You don't need to put he, him. I know you're a chick. You don't need to put she, her, right? If you're transgender, then maybe you will have a preferred pronoun. But the fact that you have a bunch of people who are cisgender putting pronouns in their profiles is just a way of coding that you're a member of this new upper crust elite who speak the vocabulary. And that's all that matters. And Americans want to be part of that upper crust elite because Americans have always wanted to be part of the new upper crust elite. They've wanted to be part of the new ruling class. It used to be that if you wanted to be a member of the new ruling class in the United States, what you would do is you would work super hard and you'd dress really well, like above your station, right? You'd wear a suit to the office and you would try and get a nice wristwatch and you would learn you'd learn the word of the day and you would try to get a good education. All right, that was the way that you demonstrated that you were a member of the new ruling class. And mores change. And so you see now that to be a member of the new ruling class means to actually dress down, right? If you're Mark Cuban, then you wear jeans and a t-shirt. Or if you're Mark Zuckerberg, you wear a hoodie, right? There are certain things that change. But the best way to become a part of the new ruling class these days is to speak the vocabulary. It is just the shave and a haircut 2 bits of entry into the secret society, as I've said before, right? When it comes to the use of these terms, it is not about understanding the terms. Most of the terminology does have a deep academic background that is complete BS. But people don't have to know that. And they don't have to buy into it. This is why if you ask Americans, do you believe America is systemically racist? Nobody understands what the term systemically racist means because that is a term that originated in the centers of academia. It has actual content, but it has been robbed of its content for purposes of polling. All you know is that if you don't say that America is systemically racist, then you will be labeled a racist and you can never be part of the new ruling class. Right? That is why this sort of vocabulary is used. This is why it is now de rigueur for prominent people to talk about how they are embarrassed to be a member, to be a white person, for example. So John Brennan, who seriously ought to be in jail. I mean, he lied to the Senate, openly lied to the Senate, but John Brennan is still considered a person worth listening to. He was on MSNBC, and he just throws out a comment like this, right? He says he's embarrassed to be a white male. Why? I mean, seriously, why? I don't understand. Why should you be embarrassed of your skin color? I don't think whatever your skin color, you should be embarrassed of your skin color. It's bizarre. Okay, but this is now considered a way into... By saying that you're embarrassed to be a white male, you can actually be super proud of yourself being a white male who says he's embarrassed to be a white male. So here is John Brennan, former CIA director, saying this nonsense, speaking the vocabulary.
I'm increasingly embarrassed to be a white male these days. And light of what I see of my other white males saying. But it just shows that with very few exceptions, like Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, there are so few Republicans in Congress who value truth, honesty, and integrity.
Okay, all his rest of his take on the Republican Party doesn't matter at all. The fact that Nicole Wallace, and everybody who's a white lady is saying that is laughing when he says he's embarrassed to be a white male. Question: Why? I mean, that's ridiculous. Even if a white person did something bad, why exactly would that embarrass you to be a white male? I mean, that's like saying that every black person should be embarrassed because there are some black criminals. That's ridiculous. Why would you? Why? That has nothing to do with you. You're an individual. But again, it's about speaking the vocabulary. And if you don't speak the vocabulary, then you can lose your job. You could have been a member of the new ruling class 1 second ago. But if you don't speak the vocabulary, then you're out, which is what happened to Donald McNeil over at the New York Times. He has now released this long 4-part essay explaining why he was fired from the New York Times. You'll remember, Donald McNeil was the lead COVID reporter at the New York Times. He was nominated for a Pulitzer this year, and he was ousted from the New York Times for the great crime of having, several years ago, gone on a trip to Peru where somebody asked him about the use of the N-word by a 12-year-old girl. And he says, well, in what context was she using that? And he said the word. And he lost his job over that. Well, he was forced out. He was forced out by the editors at the New York Times because he had, quote unquote, lost the newsroom. First of all, I don't even know how you lose the newsroom. Who gives a crap what the newsroom thinks? Seriously, you're the New York Times. You're the leading newspaper in America. You give a crap what the, quote unquote, newsroom thinks about your lead reporter on COVID in the middle of a pandemic? But according to the Washington Free Beacon, Dean Baquet, the executive editor of the paper, said, I know you're not a racist, but encouraged him to resign anyway because he had, quote unquote, lost the newsroom. Baquet said, we're not firing you. We're asking you to consider resigning. Although McNeil technically resigned of his own volition, he was under intense pressure to do so. When the Star Science reporter asked for details about the allegations, Paquette was silent. McNeil said it felt like an attempt to intimidate me. Apparently, the New York Times union was unwilling to defend McNeil. The union was, quote, deeply split over my case. He decided he needed his own lawyer. The reason for all of this, of course, is because he didn't speak the vocabulary. He said some things that were impolitic, and if you say things that are impolitic, meaning they violate the precepts of the woke, they violate the precept that facts matter and that data matters, then, like, that entire incident was not about him using the N-word. The entire incident was about him asking for specifics. You're not allowed to ask for specifics because specifics provide clarity. Generalities provide confusion and room to wiggle. Right now, all of politics is about this. If you ask for specifics, you are seen as bad. You are seen as wrong. You are seen as racist. If you ask for specifics, you are seen as rebutting somebody's deeply felt sense of personal truth. And it's confusing stuff. You can violate the strictures of the moment at any point. Right? Twitch hilariously found this out yesterday. So Twitch, the streaming service, they received backlash from both liberals and conservatives after referring to Women's History Month as Womex History Month, WOMXN History Month. And now nobody with a brain has ever referred to women as WOMXN, but they were trying to make it so that women were different than whoa men. It's like, so I married an axe murderer. Women, whoa, man. They basically, then the trans community came out and said, this is terrible because some women are men. Said it was transphobic. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Like, it's pretty spectacular that the woke can't even get it straight, but that's the whole point. And in the end, that's the entire point. I hope you enjoyed that clip from The Ben Shapiro Show. If you did, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you stay up to date on all of our future content.